And so since it's a Boolean, I'm just going to leave it at that, and it'll default to true and false. And I think that's it. Yeah, for that one, we need to actually make this property now. So let's go to the 787-8-set XML file and scroll down to controls. That's on line 718, and make your folder that you just referenced there. So I made the pressurization folder with property forward outflow, and this is a Boolean value. So this type is going to be Boolean with a default value of false, and that's it. So let's save all. And let's go back here. We have 3 more animations to get through. So for this animation, this is actually for the indicators. We need to specify what the select animation does is that it makes an object appear or disappear based on a condition. So we have our object here, and our object is going to be the auto indicator, which is called the forward outflow auto. And then we need a condition to make this object appear. Now this condition is going to be, we want this indicator to show up when this switch is in the auto state. So this switch is in the auto state when this is set to false, because the default state for this switch is auto. And so we set the default state back here to false. So if this is false and the auto indicator is the default state, then we want this to we want this indicator to appear when it is in the false state. That makes sense. So the condition here is going to be not yeah, and then this property here. And then the condition here for the manual object is going to be the opposite of this. So this is saying this object will turn on when this condition is true, because remember this is a Boolean value, so it can only be true or false. So when this condition is true, turn this object on. When this condition is not true, turn this object on. There's also another. We need a second condition here, and that is a power condition. So this auto indicator should only turn on when power is applied and when the latch switch is in the auto state. Now, to do the power, we need to do a greater than equals condition here. And the property that we're going to reference is going to be the systems or system. I'll show you where I'm getting this property from. So if you look in Flight Gear and you look to where these buttons are connected, they're connected to systems. That's what it's called. Systems, electrical, outputs, EFIS. So you watch the EFIS property as I flip these switches. So nothing happens, but when I flip this switch, it's 0. But when I flip this battery switch back on, it goes up to 24.75. Okay, I flip it off, and this is 28. This is 24. So it should be greater than this property, system slash electrical slash outputs. Is it outputs slash outputs slash EFIS? Should be greater than this value, 24.75. And that's going to apply to both indicators. So now, since we have two conditions, we need to AND these together. So just put an AND around these conditions. And then we can select this code that we coded out. And we can press Tab to kind of indent that to show that these conditions are ANDed together to make it kind of using white space and making it look nicer. And we can do the same thing here. AND these together. And we can just tab to indent these. And we can save. One last little animation we can do is a translate animation. So we're going to need the objects, each of these objects. Whoops. And if you look in Quality Wings, any of those videos, you'll see that when you press a latch switch, it kind of indents it a little bit. And that's what we're kind of doing here. We're going to translate the button back a little bit. So let's translate it. Let's use interpolation for this. There are other ways of doing it. I like to use interpolation for everything. And I always forget how this goes. So I'm just going to copy this from up here and paste it. There's going to be two states because it's a Boolean value, 0 and 1. And these are the values that we're going to specify. So it's going to translate it if it's in the auto state. Let's see. If it's in the 0 state, it's going to translate it back 0.0027. Whoops. And then if it's in the 1 state, the manual state, we want to translate it back forward. So 0, right? I think that's correct. I could be wrong about that. You just have to, yeah, I think that's correct. And then we have to specify the axis in which we are translating it. So there's an x-axis here. There's a y-axis here. And then there's a z-axis. So let's go into Blender. If I were to translate this button, it would be along the x-axis. So we want it to go in and out, just not as far, maybe like this, right? So that's along the x-axis there. So we want this to be 1, and then these to be 0. And then that should do it. We'll see if this works on our first try. Yeah, let's see what happens. Oh, something didn't work. So let's go into XML here. And when something like this happens, that usually means you have a syntax error somewhere. So let's try to look for something. Usually it can be something as little as forgetting a slash, or maybe misspelling something. So let's see here if I forgot anything. Yeah, I forgot the slash here. And something that little can have a major impact. So let's try it again. Maybe that was it. Let's see. Oh, I forgot it here as well. Alright, let's save. I think that's it. It's not going to work, so I'm going to have to reset again. Okay. I think that's it. I'm still looking for errors here. Let's see what happens. And here we go. I fixed all my little syntax errors. Let's zoom in. And let's see if this is working. It doesn't appear to be at first glance. So let's see here. What did I mess up? Condition. What did I mess up here? Select this. Maybe something in Blender. Let's move this back. Make sure these are named correctly. Forward outflow auto. Forward outflow man. And let's export this again. This could be the error. And let's see what happens. Let's reset. Maybe I spelled these wrong. System slash electrical slash output slash ethos. Is it outputs? Could be systems electrical outputs. Okay, that's my problem. I misspelled that little branch name. Stuff like that you have to look out for. Sorry this is taking so long on this video. You get to see all my live action errors that I make. I'm looking for more. There could be a lot more wrong with this. And here we go, it's working because the indicator showed up. So if we click it, here we go. But is it transitioning? I could have that named wrong as well. Translate. Oh my goodness. Making all these errors. Reset one more time. Alright. So that should be it. I don't want to... I was going to tell you to pause the video maybe here and then here. But I don't know if these are correct yet because I keep having errors. Okay. So as we can see, whoops, that button looks pushed in compared to our other button. So if I press it, it does not transition. It's very weird. Maybe we need to say this. It should be apparent, the transition. Oh, no. I messed this up. This should be 0. And then this should be negative. Yeah. I think. Let's reset one more time. Let me look at my notes. I have not been looking at them. So, looks right to me. Okay. We have our button. It does not translate. Forward outflow auto. Forward outflow auto and man. 0 and 1 along this axis. Interpolation. I have a translate here. Axis 1. It doesn't appear to be even moving the switch. 1, 0. Maybe we can be more aggressive about it. Give it a big step change. See if it does anything. Oh, we don't have it tied to a property. Silly me. This. Save that. And let's reset it one more time. And I think I have this switched. I think I had it right the first time. 0. And then save all. Let's reset. And let's see if this works. So you have your objects, the property that it's tied to, and then the if that property is 0, it'll be at this translate value along the x-axis. If it's 1, it'll just be at its regular x-axis depth in the manual state, I believe. Yeah, so now it is perfectly working now. As you can see, it goes in and out. Well, when it's in the auto state, it is pushed in. When it's in the man state, it's pushed or pulled out. If I take away power, the indicators go away, and I can still push in and out the button. If I can still have the indicators turn on in the correct state despite power. And that should work perfectly now. And you could also, some buttons require both indicators to be on, so you just need to change these conditionals to make that happen. yeah, so just change these conditionals depending on your own latch switch. This should work for most latch switches, as far as I know. And then the translate, if our team decides not to go with this, we can just delete it, and it just won't translate. Pretty easy to get rid of. I think that's it for this video. I think this is a pretty long video, so I apologize for all the errors. But you get to see like how to debug. You know, do you have all your properties? Do you have all your slashes? Are you spelling things correctly? So stuff like that is gonna happen in XML, and it's not because your logic is wrong. It's just because you just spelled something incorrectly, and that can it's good to have other eyes on it to help you catch those things. It took me a while because it looked fine to me at first glance. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go. Hopefully this made sense. You can maybe pause the video at each one of these segments here and just kind of use it as a template. But yeah, we only had to change 4 files for this. Make a new file, the PNG file, then had to change the Blender, XML, and remember to do this. Have your new property here in the 787-set.xml. Otherwise, it won't work. It'll work, it just won't work correctly. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time.